G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff Ukraine War Update for the 4th of August 2025. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, author of the books The Boyhood of Cade, Power Games, Into the Osmound, and The Erotic Tales from the Empire, Part 1, available now. Thank you to all those who support the channel. You can support the channel through my links in the link tree. You can join my Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. Alright, so on with the news, and of course, first thing you notice is there isn't really new news. Now, yes, Trump's envoy is or has flown to Moscow, or however, some media has said he's going to visit. And in fact, Putin's office has him actually meeting later this week, allegedly. I say allegedly because it's third-hand information, so, take it with a grain of salt that it's going on. Trump's aide is definitely going to, Trump's envoy is definitely going to visit Putin. He's definitely going to deliver the ultimatum, reaffirm the ultimatum, find out why. Well, we already know why. And hopefully talk him into something. But as we look through most of the list of news, there's nothing that stands out as new or interesting. So we move to Al Jazeera because they're the least offensive of the Western media, the cheerleaders for Ukraine. And of course, they tell us something we already know. If you follow the channel often enough, you'll know I've told you that BRICS is firmly, oh yeah, you two get a room, bro. Yeah, definitely India is, no, bro, we're not going to betray you. They betray everybody, bro. They betray everybody. Now, this is directly what they're talking about with indirect sanctions. India is financing Russia's war with Ukraine. No shit. Why is that? So they can buy oil at cheap. But of course, they're not going to say that China is also involved and that China's also doing so. Although China's reasonings are a bit more than just getting cheap oil out of... Well, it's not just cheap oil. It was to basically buy up the that China expected Russia to crumble and to buy up Russia. So, India has been hit with a tariff penalty. Yeah. Second largest. But there's already a tariff war going on with China. Notice, it wasn't that big before the war. Definitely there was some shenanigans. Alright, so... yeah, there was a fire at Sochi. Yeah. And Russia retaliated. But notice it's Russia retaliates, yet they're the aggressor? Like, wow. Ukraine attacks, but they're the defender? Wow. Ukraine Air Force, we shot them all down, comrades, the party is always right. Diplomacy side, nothing new. There was a prisoner exchange. There was the usual rounds of sanctions, and Ukraine is sanctioning Russia. Wow, that's like... Alright, so... let's see. You can see there was drone strikes allegedly in Crimea. This is an old attack. I think this one is also an old attack. Yeah, 2 days ago. Fresh attacks down here. Odessa, Mykolaiv, West, and Kiev. Well, yeah, this was Ukraine attacked the bridge, but don't worry, folks. They're the defenders of freedom and democracy. Allegedly. Alright, so Russia has definitely increased its hold on Ukraine and opening up more fronts. They've taken more territory here in the north, but not here at Kupiansk or south of Kupiansk. But there is fighting towards Seversk, and it looks like they've taken some territory, which looks like nothing's changed in the map of Chasiv Yar. Some artillery strikes on Kromovinskaya, fighting in surrounding areas. Tense fighting, as I said. Looks like they're pushing up. Fighting in Zelensky. Fighting here. Pushing. Russia's taking more territory here. Not much. Fighting in Pavlovsk. Not much. Fighting here. But that's all about their big push. Taking more territory. Now it does look like they're skirting around. Does not look like no longer they are pushing through here, that they are headed south and over through here. So far, this is weird, because I expected that this is obviously would be very confusing as well, that it does actually look like Russia is not going to buffer zone this region, or yeah, it's really weird. But oh yeah, no, I forgot. Although yeah, this is an old one, yeah. And of course, some drone strikes into Russia. Nothing really significant, which means tomorrow there's going to be a big blowout. It's going to be red dots on the map. All right. Now this is actually a win for democracy. And it's rare, but we should acknowledge wins for democracy, even if they do come from the European authorities. That Europe has given the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine and the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office green light to intensify their investigations of Zelensky, according to Viktor Medvedchuk, who's the head of the Other Ukraine movement and formal leader of the opposition platform, which of course, as you know, is banned in Ukraine because, as he told investigators, this is standard practice of Zelensky. He accuses his opposition of being corrupt or Russian agents, which has led to the deaths of thousands, the imprisonments of tens of thousands more. He is absolutely using the guise of authority to cement his power, and instead of fighting fascism, the left lockstep in behind fascism, because it's not evil when we do it. Rules are for thee, not for thee. Now, the EU has actually done this in the past, particularly in Romania and Poland. But the Poles started to get sick of it. Oh, sorry, and Germany. And they're also sick of it. Because as some commentators say, how long before they come for us? Because when they run out of one group to pick on, those authoritarians need an enemy very quickly. And yes, when they finally denazified, well, allegedly denazified, but that's not a story for today. Remember, folks, they started broadening the definition, and for the last 50 years, they've been chasing this boogeyman of fascism. Because remember, folks, if they can't get you for crimes, they'll get you as a foreign agent. Now, I'm not saying that there are innocent people in jail everywhere, but there are definitely innocent people in China, North Korea, and so forth around the world, not just Ukraine and Russia. There are plenty of people in Russia who've been branded an enemy of the state to put them away, remove them from the political scene. But you've got to remember, they tried this with Putin as well. So it's this tit for tat though has to end. This locking up of politicians has to end. Or you have a clean set of rules that everybody understands and knows about. Whereas so far, Ukraine just accuses somebody of being an enemy of the state, and ta-da, they're tortured. And even if they're innocent, they're guilty. You know what I mean? But according to Majoritative Green, the majority of Americans voted to end foreign wars, and they feel that the support for Kiev is losing votes. The financial assistance for Ukrainian government is a complete betrayal of the American people. I would say complete. I would say America did vote to end foreign wars, and even CNN, ABC, and Fox finally actually said something that made sense, that wasn't partisan. And people should remember this. Presidents don't pick their battles. Okay? Trump didn't come to office and start these wars. These wars he is trying to end. We have to acknowledge that. And we have to acknowledge that he can only apply pressure. He cannot lead a horse to water and make it think. I said think, not drink. You know, I know the saying. I said it on purpose. I'm talking about existential, not metaphorical. Basically, continue aid is funding the corruption. Okay, that Zelensky is a dictator that cannot be trusted. And it is, time and time again, I've said, the biggest mistake is not calling out Zelensky. But again, this is because he's juggling Europe, who won't give up this creep. It's like Hollywood and Kevin Spacey, or Cuba and Castro, or Venezuela and Chavez, or Brazil and Lula. Okay? No matter how bad people can be, the idiotic left and the congenial right just sees the best, sees this fantasy, you know? It's like thinking that every revolutionary is going to be the next George Washington, when none of them have been. I mean, let's face reality. There haven't been many freedom fighters in history. And even Cromwell, who was a freedom fighter, says We replaced one corrupt government with another corrupt government. He's probably the only revolutionary ever to realise and to undo the revolution, because they realised that it's basically replacing, it's rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. That the revolution of Cromwell was a betrayal of the people. Just like the Labour Party is a betrayal of the people. That communism itself, Marxism, is all a betrayal of the people. And that if, honestly, Congressman or Congresswoman, if you really want to end the war in Kiev, you have to spread the message far and wide, and that is Zelensky must go. That it's not just getting Putin to sit down to agree, it's getting Ukraine to honour agreements. And Americans under 50, do feel underrepresented by both parties. But most people under 50 don't vote when it's crucial. And when they get Democrat after Democrat after Democrat, and they complain time and time again that nothing gets done, and it's like, well, did you vote against them? And then they whine about Republicans, and it's like, but they're not in power. And then they point to, oh, but Trump, we've got to stop Trump. Oh, they just stop with the excuses. I'm sick of people who get off making excuses. They do. They get off. They just don't want to admit they like the chaos. That they're lazy shits who like the chaos. They like watching. They're just upset. They don't want to tell you the truth. Most people never want to tell you the truth. The fact is, most people are only upset because the system doesn't benefit them. They can see the flaws in the system, but they like the flaws. They just wish the flaws didn't apply to them. Now, Russia strikes the Ukrainian airfield with Kinzhal missiles. This is a rare, it's usually a much larger strike than this. Now, I'm not saying this is showing that Russia's weakening. It's because I think Russia's preparing for a bigger attack. And you can actually see this is got a modified targeting array system here. All right, so we never really get the results, I guess, of the war, but pretty much, if you think this is Ukraine winning, you're a muppet. And if you think this is Russia winning, you have not understand the fundamentals of war, and that is, even when you win, you lose. So, don't think it's a glorious revolution or a glorious liberation. It's a war. And I think if you want this war to end, you have to be serious and honest about it. And I think if you're serious about ending the war, you have to realize that it takes not just Putin. It takes Zelensky to stop attacking Russia. It takes Zelensky. Remember, there was 6 weeks in 2022 of just Ukrainian extrajudicial murders. Then the West turned a blind eye. Biden has blood on his hands, and we have to spread the truth. And until you get to the root causes of this war, which is Ukraine's war on the ethnic Russians of Ukraine, you'll never end this war. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And please support the channel. You can support me on Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. All my links are in the link tree or in the description below. You can find my link tree in the profile or scan the QR code on the screen. Please and thank you. See you in the next video. And bye for now.